Well, joining me is Rowan Dean, Editor-in-Chief of The Spectator Australia, host of Outsiders every Sunday at 9 a.m, and host of his own show on Fridays at 7 p.m. Rowan, an Aboriginal Muslim elder who also has non-Aboriginal ancestry, may not be how some people would first picture a traditional owner of Melbourne who deserves more say over its public lands. Should all this matter?
I'm glad you give me the easy questions, Andrew. Should all this matter? Well, people have eyes in their head. All human beings have eyes in their head, and all human beings, all of us in a democracy, are free to make up our own mind what we see and what the information in front of our eyes tells us. The problem here stems back to, as so many problems do, Gough Whitlam. I'm glad we're celebrating the 50th anniversary of his dismissal. It's sad that he wasn't dismissed earlier before he did all the damage he'd done. But this is another one. I think it was Gough who put the dirt in the hand of Vincent Lingari and said, okay, set up the whole idea of land rights. Now, at no point, the entire land rights / native title / Mabo push, activist push, if you like, or concept, had to end up where we are today. It had to. And those people back in the day who objected firstly to the whole concept of land rights and then objected to native title, objected to Mabo, were all dismissed as racists and all told, oh, you don't understand, this is going to be fantastic, it's not going to be a threat to anybody. All those people who, in my view, correctly warned about where this would end up have been justified. And what we've had is the goodwill of the non-Indigenous population of Australia yet again being abused. And I don't mean by the traditional or the broader Indigenous population, I mean by the activist class, who are now claiming that the Melbourne cricket ground should be part of their traditional ownership or whatever. We've never defined what an Aborigine is or should mean. We've always avoided any technical definition. We've never really defined what traditional ownership means. We've never defined what custodianship means, and on and on and on. The entire edifice is built on goodwill, which is great, there's nothing wrong with that, but built on goodwill with the legal fraternity and politicians being afraid at every stage, both Labor and Liberal politicians, High Court judges, a lot of them, all the way down the line, being afraid and too cowardly to confront the actual meaning of what are we talking about, what sort of ownership are we talking about, and what sort of heritage or DNA are we talking about that justifies this special relationship.
Let me help you out.
The whole thing is a mess.
Freaking too, you're probably freaking. We have lawyers having kittens about these discussions because our freedom to speak frankly about this, I think, is really severely curtailed by ridiculous laws. But let me just say this. People are wondering, someone who's Muslim with non-Aboriginal ancestry as well, really, are they entitled to more? We are going to see much more of this, Rowan, because these things are now being frozen in perpetuity, rights to, public land, etc. And with the intermarriage rates and the way people move on and they go to new faiths and they go to new beliefs, and 100 years from now, how unrepresentative will some people seem who claim to have this traditional ownership? This is the problem that I think we haven't faced, that people change over time, and what we now think of Aboriginal today will look very different 100 years from now.
Absolutely. And also you only have to go to places like Sicily, where I love, as you know, I love going to Sicily, where you can see the layers of history of the different peoples and groups and tribes, whatever you want to call races, ethnic groups, religions, have lived and moved through a place. And you can see in front of you, sitting in a cafe, you can see the layers of what was once a mosque, what was once a Colosseum or a temple, what was once a church. The layers are there. But at no point do you have someone rocking up to a place in Sicily and going, you know what, we're the traditional owners, so we'd like some sort of slice of the pie legally and financially. Europe would not work like that, and most of the world cannot work like that. So we have to get a better, stricter definition of what we're talking about in this country if we're to pursue going down this route without all sorts of problems that lie ahead.
Well, bang, there goes my native title claim, my claim against the Romans for what they did to my good people of Friesland. I mean, seriously, you've really stuffed me up there. Rowan, thank you so much indeed for your time, Rowan Dean. Really appreciate it.